Taiwan, where at least one person is feared dead. Nearly 60 are injured as one of the most powerful earthquake in Taiwan damaged dozens of buildings and prompted tsunami warnings that extended to Japan as well as the Philippines. Now, Taiwan's semiconductor activity also took a hit. Taiwan Semiconductor manufacturing company and its closest rivals have evacuated factory areas after the biggest earthquake hit the country in 25 years, leading to uncertainty over the production at world's largest chip maker. Now, TSMC, the main contract chip maker for Apple and Nvidia, moved staff of working areas and said that it is currently assessing the impact of tremors measuring 7.5 in magnitude. The smaller United Microelectronics also halted operations at some plants and evacuated certain facilities at its hub. Now, Taiwanese firms from TSMC as well as ASE Technology Holding, remember, make up for the vast majority of semiconductor that go into devices from your iPhones to your cars. From factories vulnerable, even that at the very slightest tremors, some of these factories have now been majorly impacted. Remember, a single vibration can destroy entire batches of precision-made semiconductor. What exactly is going to be the impact of Taiwanese earthquake on its semiconductor business? Let's discuss that. Kartik Malhotra here with me. Kartik, hi. Now, this is, of course, a very damning story coming in early in the morning, causing havoc. Has impacted lives, livelihood in Taiwan. Taiwan, which is a hub for semiconductor, that is also expected to take a beating.
So, Shweta, these have been fears that the world has grappled with for a very long time, that an island zone pretty much in the ring of fire, as it is referred to, a very, very seismic zone of the Pacific Ocean. Is it safe to make the world dependent on all the semiconductors? Almost 80 to 90% of the total semiconductors used in the world are made in Taiwan. And companies in the US and companies in UK, Europe have been, pondering over this idea and battling with this notion for a very long time that you are completely dependent on an island nation which is right in the middle of the seismic zone, and any severe earthquake or tsunami could wreak havoc to an extent that supply chains get disrupted, manufacturing of semiconductor fabs get disrupted, and that is obviously going to lead to another supply chain crisis for semiconductors. The first semiconductor crisis we saw was actually immediately in the outbreak of the COVID-19, immediately followed by the Russia-Ukraine war, and that made electronics prices, right from phones to laptops to cars and automobiles, shoot up, and they've gone through the roof. And just as those prices were beginning to settle down and manufacturing activity was expanding beyond Taiwan, I wouldn't really say moving out of Taiwan. In fact, Taiwanese companies only looking at investments outside of Taiwan, including India, to reduce this dependence on a single location to make their semiconductors, which are so critical. Everything from iPhones to artificial intelligence, Nvidia, GPU chips, etc. Everything gets built, assembled there in Taiwan. So, is it going to be as disruptive as the people out there are fearing right now? We don't know. What we know for a fact is that the production was halted temporarily. At least the factories were evacuated, workers were taken out of the building, taken to a safe area. But I think the assessment on how much damage to machinery has happened, how much damage to those fabs which are under production or on the assembly line have happened is something which is yet to be assessed, yet to be seen. And I think certain disclosures will come by TSMC, by PCMC, by all the other chip manufacturers based in Taiwan. And I think in a couple of hours, if not days, we should see some sort of a development on what is the extent of the damage on factories which are so critical to this entire supply chain of electronics.
All right, without really being presumptuous as to what is going to be the long-term impact, because as you said, we are yet to get greater details on to what extent the damage has occurred. If there were to be damages, I think that could take about months and years to recuperate.
I mean, we have great examples in countries like Japan that have been able to rebuild their economies and rebuild their factories, in a matter of weeks. And Japan, of course, also happens to be right in the seismic zone. In fact, the earthquake, the ring of fire that we're talking about is pretty much, the eastern coast of Taiwan, which is right next door, pretty much right next shore, if not right next door to Japan, and then Philippines a little to the south. So that entire area has had a history of being victimized by natural calamities, including earthquakes and tsunamis. So we've seen good examples in Japan, which have been able to rebuild themselves time and again and come out of the clutches of natural calamities. Taiwan also in its own right has been well prepared. In fact, this is the largest earthquake to hit Taiwan in 25 years. But thankfully, so far, we haven't seen too much loss of life being reported. I think one person dead and less than 100 people injured as of now. And even the visuals which are coming in are suggesting that we haven't seen buildings collapse. Too many, damages coming to people residing in those buildings. So buildings are tilted. Yes, there is obviously a large-scale destruction, but we haven't seen the kind of catastrophic damage which an earthquake of this magnitude has caused in other parts of the world, including India.
Absolutely. Looks like Taiwanese were prepared for it. They are, of course, prepared for it. One person is reportedly dead in that earthquake. More than 60 people are currently injured. Companies, including semiconductor businesses, are currently assessing the damage that the earthquake has caused on its business operations. But looks like for now, semiconductor operations across companies, including TSMC, have now temporarily been halted.